Gomez and Company welcome former SU quarterback Eric Dungey thanks to Liverpool Pool and Spa on the flagship station of SU football, TK99 and TK105.
Eric, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Good. What's been the highlight of your week so far there in Oregon?
Highlight of the week, I'm not too sure on that one yet so far. Yesterday actually was a tough day. We had to put my dog down, so it was a tough one yesterday. But other than that, I guess just being grateful for life and grateful for 16 great years of our family dog, and he's in a better place now, joining my dad up in heaven, hopefully. So, as far as and then I guess my in-laws are coming into town today, so I can celebrate from there.
I'm sorry to hear that. There, I know that is just a tough day for anybody when you have to do that kind of thing there. But a good companion, a good family member for all those years for you.
Oh, definitely. But he's in a better place, and we don't deserve dogs. I always say dogs are the most loyal things that live out there. So.
That and if he was 16.
16 is
16,
old.
Wow.
Yeah, he was an
good
old
run,
dog.
buddy.
How old were you then when you got the dog?
I was 12, so believe it or not, he's been around for greater than half of my life. So, which is crazy. And honestly, he was pushing 17, closer than 16. So he was he was an old dog, but it was just that time, and it was a very unfortunate thing to do. But I'm glad I could do that with my brother, and special moment between that. But like I said, he's in a better place, and anyone who's had to do that, I did not realize how hard it was going to be. But he's like I said, in a better place. So.
Well, thoughts you and the family. It's sorry to hear that, Eric, but it's just something you do, and it's part of life.
Oh, yeah.
And then we move on. From last week, before we move on to tomorrow's game, we talked to you on Monday, and then after the show Monday, that's when Coach Fran Brown has his Monday press conference, and then his thoughts on losing ended up going viral there, and when he said that I think soap is for winners. Losers.
Couldn't shower. He didn't deserve a shower.
He doesn't deserve a shower.
Yeah.
That shows, I think, his competitive nature, but do you kind of at least get that in a way? Like,
Yeah, you know what? I think it's his mindset, though. He's basically saying, I'm not worthy of this. And, you just got to respect Coach Brown, because he wears his heart on his sleeve. And again, I just think everything that he's doing, he's building this culture to move on. And yeah, it was kind of an odd saying, but you could tell that he actually probably meant it. And he just takes this so seriously. So I think for Syracuse, he really lays it all out there, and he wants to lead from the front. Granted, it was a crazy thing to say. I hope he is using soap. He probably is the next day, but he wears it all out there. And for a guy and for recruits going in, you might be thinking, wow, this guy's kind of maybe a little crazy, but you know what? He truly cares about winning. He's got that winner mentality. So I think Syracuse should come out. They got a really tough task. I think Cal is one of the best 5-4 teams in the nation. If you look at their last 3 losses, it's been determined by 4 points. They had a 1-point loss against NC State, 1-point loss against Miami, and then a 2-point loss against Pitt. And it's all really come down to the wire. So one of the better teams that Syracuse will face this year, one of the more consistent teams, and not only that, but they got to go cross country to do so. So it's a long road trip, so they have to make sure that they're prepared, they're ready to go, and it's going to be a tough end of the season here. I think everyone kind of was putting UConn and Cal as win marks in the win column. We were kind of adding up the totals for the year, but it turns out that these are 2 solid teams that have turned it around, and they got a really reliable offense and run game as well. And Fernando Mendoza has kind of proven himself to be kind of a clutch quarterback here, making the plays when he needs to. And he's a big 6'5" guy, younger guy, but he's been getting it done.
And then who else, when you watch Cal, and being out on the West Coast, do you get a chance to see teams like Cal play more than we would here in the East? And have you seen any of their complete games?
Yeah, you know what? I've seen Cal play, and I think Javion Thomas as well. I mean, if you look at their running back, he's a solid kid. I mean, I believe he's averaging over 6 yards a carry. So anytime you have an established run game like that, it obviously makes a guy like Fernando Mendoza's job a little easier because, defenses have to scheme up the run game and make sure that they're taking into account for that. But I have seen Cal play more oftentimes than not, believe it or not. That's why I think I have a lot of respect for them personally. And I think for Syracuse, I think they match up, one-on-one better than Cal. But, like I said, good teams find a way to win and good teams find a way to stay in games. And Cal's always done that. They beat a solid Wake Forest team. Wake Forest is kind of having a down year, but they found a way to win. And they really blew out an Oregon State team that, is usually known for their run game, but they kind of dominated that in that sense. So you never know what you're going to get. I think for Syracuse, they have to be ready to go, and they have to make sure that they get their rest. They obviously went out a day early for that 3-hour time change, make sure that they're accustomed to the new time zone, and come out ready to play. It's going to be an early game for them as well, but make sure that you get off that bus and that Cal's going to be starting to bring it from that first kick.
It's former SU quarterback Eric Dungey here. The game tomorrow, it's a 3 p.m. kick here back east with Syracuse and Cal. And were there Cal? Because when I was growing up, like Chuck Muncie was a Cal guy and went on to play, obviously, in the NFL. And there's some guys still playing. I think Aaron Rodgers, wasn't he a Cal guy? So there's a lot of guys, a lot of NFL guys that maybe, on the East, we might not be aware of where they played in college. But Cal has produced a lot of big-time NFL players.
Marshawn Lynch, I'm pretty sure too, with the golf cart down there. So yeah, I mean, honestly, when I think of Cal, I wasn't ever really thinking of a football team. But you go back, you do hear about the history. I feel like every time I saw Cal growing up, it was like, whether there was a protest going on the field or something. I feel like they were kind of known for that in the past, 5 or 10 years. But now they have, you think about it, like you said, Aaron Rodgers, Marshawn Lynch, these guys that are coming out. Fernando Mendoza is hopefully trying to be one of those guys for them as well. But they've turned it around, and they've actually been a solid football team. And it's not going to be, too packed of a crowd, I don't think. But, you never know. I think teams realize what's on the line. They're playing for bowl eligibility. So they're going to bring everything they have, and they have to find a win here because their schedule's not the easiest thing to end it either. I mean, they have SMU, and they also have Stanford, which, that's going to be essentially like a rivalry game, I guess, if, for California down there. I'm not really too sure about that. But yeah, SMU to end the year, they're going to need this win. So Cal's going to be throwing the kitchen sink at Syracuse to try to get it.
Well, Cal and Stanford, that was the famous 1982 game, I think, where they thought the game was over and the marching band came on the field and Cal ended up running it back for a touchdown and a guy ran over the trombone player. And great. I remember watching that live back when it happened, but that still shows up in top 10 lists of things. But it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow and a great end to the season. It's hard to believe we're already talking about the last couple of games here, Eric, because the season just kind of cruises on through here. So aside from football, you got in-laws coming to town. What else you playing for the weekend there?
You know what? I'm going to try to play a little golf here. Like I said, Oregon weather, when it permits, you got to get out anytime you can. It'll probably be 45 or 50 degrees, but it's not going to be raining. So get some golf in. And other than that, like I said, we're just going to be watching a lot of football. I think there's some good games this weekend. And, end of the season's coming up. So we're going to see who's going to be on that playoff berth and who are some good playoff teams there. And, I think it's like March Madness when you're making the bracket, and hopefully they get a new one for football this year where you can kind of start to do the same thing and start to pick those winners. So we'll see. It'll be a fun-filled weekend with a lot of football, family, and just probably a lot of food as well. So.
Well, good stuff. Go Orange. Thanks, Eric. We'll touch base again and get caught up on Monday.
All righty. Sounds good. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Eric.